Good morning. It's part 25 of Losing the Boomer Blues. After the band finished playing Light My Fire, Jane noticed Bob was still wearing his old shades. She took his glasses off and set them on the amp next to hers. Looking at each other, they began to sing Ain't No Mountain High Enough. It was their best performance of the night. The shades worked their magic in bringing back old feelings and memories from the past. Later in the evening, Jo kissed Mary with her sunglasses on while dancing to Eptide. When the song was over, he spun her around, dipped her, and her shades fell off. Mary picked them up from the floor and put them on Jo. It was then that something strange came over him. He felt he was hallucinating. He was fixated on Phil, and soon he understood why. George appeared to be sitting at the drum smiling at him. He felt a compelling connection to him. It seemed as though George was encouraging him to be Mary's man, take care of her, and give her what he no longer could. When Mary excused herself to go to the ladies' room, Jo walked up to Phil and asked, "Do you think you could dedicate the next song to my girl Mary?" "Yep, number 23. I like it like that. It's coming right up, and it's being dedicated to Mary." Jo felt at ease. He knew for sure George was there in the guise of Phil, and he was glad Mary was moving on with him. The song ended up being a crowd pleaser and brought the wild side out in everyone on the dance floor. Jo and Mary needed a breather after dancing to it. The night was winding down. The band announced the last song of the evening and dedicated it to the class of 1967. Jane began to sing To Sir with Love. When the song was over, she thanked everyone for coming and requested a warm applause for the reunion committee, and especially thanked Joni for all her hard work in making the reunion a huge success. Joni walked onto the stage, and Jane handed her the mic. Their former classmates applauded in appreciation for a job well done. Joni thanked everyone for a fabulous night. She turned to the band, thanked them, and asked them to play one last song, San Francisco. Be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. After the last song of the night, the musicians packed up their instruments, and everyone hugged each other goodbye. The band members lingered in the back after everyone had left. Bob told Jane to begin planning a trip to Europe. Jane still couldn't believe that Bob was going to make her dream come true. The shades had actually made something forgotten from the past return to the now and brighten up their future. Jane hugged Mary and Lucy goodbye and thanked them for bringing the shades of the past back into their lives. Chapter 17, the day after the reunion. Fran and her best friend Shirley left the storage unit in Los Angeles on Saturday afternoon, headed for Santa Barbara. Earlier in the day, they had packed up everything, and the movers loaded the moving van, promising to arrive in San Francisco at 9 o'clock the next morning. Fran was excited that her furniture was at long last on its way to her condo. She spent the night at Shirley's home, and in the morning Shirley drove her to the airport. She loved flying out of Santa Barbara, but as Murphy's Law would have it, the movers were running late. Her plane and the movers were now arriving in San Francisco around the same time. Vince couldn't be in both places at once, so he asked his mother if she could pick Fran up at the airport. Mary agreed. It was a sunny day, so Mary wore her sunglasses on the way to the airport. Hopefully, Fran would be on time. The plane was on time, and with luck, she was standing at the arrival pickup spot when she had noticed Mary's car approaching and hopped into the little electric Fiat. Fran quickly got in, fastened her seatbelt, and exclaimed, "I love your car." Mary smiled and said, "It's environmentally friendly and fun to drive. Welcome home, Francesca." "Thank you for coming to get me. I'm so sorry to interrupt your day. Vince has been waiting for the movers all morning. The traffic is unbelievable." "No problem, Fran. I didn't have anything planned. I'm happy to help." How was your reunion? I want to hear all about it. Any great flashbacks? It was so much fun. Almost everyone wore vintage clothing, and the music was great. Bob, Fred, and Jane formed a groovy band. George had mentored the drummer, Phil, back in the late 70s. He was the beating heart of the band. George would have been proud of him. He played a long drum solo to light my fire. Lucy played harmonica and sung like a nightingale. We all danced our fannies off, and yes, there were numerous flashbacks. Oh, wow, I can only imagine. Was anyone stoned? I wouldn't put it past any of those old hippies. Laughing, they pulled up in front of Fran's townhouse. Well, you're truly home, Fran. Yeah, home sweet home. Thank you for picking me up, Mary. Let Vince know that Joe and I have dinner plans in Santa Cruz. I'm spending the night at his place. Sounds like you and Joe are becoming an item. I'm happy for you, Mary. From what Vince says, he's a nice man. He's a wonderful person. I couldn't be happier. Fran got out, smiled, and said, "Drive safely. See you later." Thanks. Ciao, Fran. When Fran opened the door, Vince was seated at the table reading. He looked up from his book, smiled, and closed it. She dropped her suitcase on the floor, rushed into the kitchen, and greeted him with a big kiss. She sat down next to him and said, "I missed you, Vince." "I missed you, too." He kissed her back and asked, "How was the flight?" "Great. It was short and painless, and your mom pulled up like clockwork. Perfect timing, unlike the movers." "Yeah, they're running late. I hope they get here soon." "I'll be relieved when my furniture arrives safely." "I had hoped it'd be here by now." "They called a few times. It's the traffic. Lots of fender benders on the 101. Don't worry, they'll be here any minute." The movers arrived within an hour. They seemed rushed and exhausted, so Fran offered them cold bottled water. As they were putting the boxes in the living room and arranging the furniture, Fran prepared a bag of snacks for them to enjoy on the road. After the job was completed, she handed them more bottled water, the snacks, and a huge tip. The movers were grateful, expressed thanks, and left. It had turned out to be a long day for everyone. Fran didn't feel like unpacking. Staring at the boxes, she said, "I need to eat, have a glass of wine, and relax a bit before attacking all these boxes." Picking up his keys from the table, Vince said, "I think a good Italian meal is in order. How about a late lunch at Original Joe's in North Beach?" "I'm ready." Vince got his car out of the garage while Fran freshened up. The drive to North Beach didn't take long. They had their hearts set on pasta and a glass of wine and prayed for good parking karma. It worked out. They found a spot only a block away. They were grateful the walk was short because they were hungry and couldn't wait to eat. When they arrived at the restaurant, they sat at a table for two in the back and ordered penny pasta and 2 glasses of red Italian vino. "You know, Fran, you hardly have any furniture, but those 40 boxes will take some time to unpack." "Well, let's work as a team. We'll get it done in no time." "Okay, you got it." Vince reached for his wine glass, took a sip, and changed the subject. "I don't know quite how to put this, but I want to ask you if there might be a chance we make our relationship permanent." "Date exclusively? What exactly do you mean?" "Well, that, but something a little bit more. Let's discuss it over dinner tomorrow night at the wharf. How about Alioto's?" "Of course, Vince. I'm intrigued." A view of the bay, candlelight, and great conversation, not to mention a delicious dinner. Coffee and dessert is what I have in mind. I can't think of anything better than that. Can you? No, but I'm sure you'll come up with something. They celebrated with a toast to Fran's successful move and the new job. She was home to stay. The meal hit the spot. They were now refreshed, fortified, and ready to unpack the boxes. We'll continue on tomorrow. Thank you for joining me today. Have a gorgeous day. Ciao.